Right. Podcast. We don't need these. Sean, Katie, Sean. Yeah, we're podcasting again. So for those who may be relatively new, we used to have a podcast that we called the Canny Talk podcast.
Yeah.
And we basically discussed loads of things. Got guests up. Lie down. Don't even think about it. Lie down. And we basically discussed a bunch of stuff. Could be from news to films to series to football to wrestling to anything. Could be anything at all. And we actually got, I can't remember, I don't know if it was maybe 12 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go and see all those back in our earlier days, go and watch those. So we thought, now with more subscribers, we'll get involved. We'll start up again. We'll start getting my friends back in. Katie might get some friends in. I don't know. Do you have friends? She has friends somewhere.
That's rude.
But here's the crack. The podcast will be coming out every Wednesday. If you go to our Patreon, which is down in the description, you'll get it on Sunday as well as our movie stream, which you'll also get on Sunday. So you get it 3 days early if you go and join our Patreon. You'll see it early. So I thought it would be divisive with our first episode back and talk about the MCU versus DC. Now, I was going to be really horrible and say the DCEU, but then that would be a very lopsided discussion.
Yeah.
So basically, I thought I would give DC some semblance of a chance and say the entirety of the DC film franchise, not just the DCEU. So, okay, who's winning? Marvel or DC? Feel free to let us know your opinions down in the comments.
I mean, it should. Out of the MCU and DCEU, I would say Marvel. MCU.
If it's MCU against DCEU, then it's MCU hands down.
The issue with DC is they don't seem to have like a coherent anything. Like the movies just come out willy nilly.
I know.
You have the whole Zack Snyder incident.
Yep.
With Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Which just didn't make sense.
Well, the thing with the Snyderverse, it was just marred by...
Well, Joss Whedon.
Well,
that was the main.
He was brought in to fix it, but it was like... They couldn't really predict that, could they? Because Zack Snyder's daughter passed away.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really anything they could do with that. But the difference for me, and it was funny because I saw... I keep seeing these memes where it's like, the MCU, you basically go, right, okay, this is what we want. It might take a year, it might take a few months, it might take a few weeks, but you eventually get what you want. Like 2 years ago, if someone had said to me, right, well, Tobey Maguire, oh yeah, spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about loads of spoiler stuff. 2 years ago, if you'd said to me that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were both going to turn up in an MCU Spider-Man movie, I would have said, you're crazy, they're never going to come back, there's no chance at all. But all it took was people going, well, you know, I would quite like to see that, and there we go, we had it. Whereas the DC films sort of, they make changes, the fans will go, okay, well, we want this. And the DC will make a change and go, this is your fault. You're the reason we're changing this. And it's like, well, how? I was like... So, like, obviously at the minute what we're talking about is, especially in DC, is their decision to get rid of the big three, essentially. They're keeping Wonder Woman.
This is the speculation. So there was...
No, they're definitely doing it. They're getting rid of Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill.
But what I was talking about is some leaks came out from a woman. I'm not really sure who she is, but everyone's saying it's reliable. Basically saying in the Flashpoint movie, they're gonna basically just rehash the whole DCEU, which is fair enough because that's what the fans wanted.
Not so much rehash the whole DCEU. Right now, Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill.
Yeah, they're basically starting over with this, which is basically like you say, it's what the fans kind of wanted. They wanted them to restart it all, but go down kind of not like a Marvel route, but just have a clear start and end point.
Yeah.
Have some kind of timeline, because like you say, like they just keep on putting out random movies, and they have all these different directors that don't really communicate with each other. It's kind of, you don't really know what's going on.
But the thing is with that, and there's been a lot of arguments that I've seen, but the majority of it's definitely like a sort of 80-20 split. Why am I coughing so much?
I don't know.
It's definitely an 80-20 split where it's almost like everyone's like, well, why are you getting rid... Don't put on that. Everyone's like, well, why are you getting rid of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck when you haven't given them a chance?
Well, that's especially Ben Affleck. Henry Cavill, I mean, he had his own movie. He was in, obviously, Batman vs Superman, but Ben Affleck hasn't even had his own movie. He was in Batman vs Superman. And then Justice League, and then it was just like, yeah...
The worst thing about that as well is just how much Ben Affleck didn't enjoy it. Which is upsetting because Ben Affleck's really talented and he's a really good director/writer.
Well, that was a big thing, wasn't it? He wanted to direct his
own Batman film.
Yeah.
Oh, you can talk.
His own Batman series or something like that, and he said no, didn't he? And like when you hear him talk about it, he pretty much just said he's done with it. He had such a bad time. Yep. Especially with like Justice League and Joss Whedon. He just had such a bad time to the point he just doesn't want to do it anymore. Which is really sad. But basically these, going back to the whole leaks, supposedly what was happening is they're writing out Cavill and Affleck.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's going to become the main Batman. He's going to become the main Batman until the Batman movie, or till the Batgirl movie or something like that, and then Batgirl's going to become the main Batman character.
Yep.
Along
and
with Supergirl as...
Supergirl is going to be the main super person.
Yeah.
And basically they're getting rid of Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill.
Is supposedly what's happening, yeah.
I think I'm dying. Yeah. But this is another one of them things, and it feels like... This is why I said the thing about the fans, where it's like, they're basically going, we're changing it because you don't like the way Superman and Batman are. And it's like, no, it's like, we don't dislike Henry Cavill and we don't dislike Ben Affleck. We dislike what you did with their characters.
We dislike the writing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and the thing everyone's been saying for years about Warner Brothers when it comes to DC is producer input. They're so quick in a movie to just go, oh, you know what, add this. We want to say this, so add it. Even if it doesn't make sense to the movie.
Yeah, we need a Joker mention.
Let's just add it in. And they keep on doing it to the point where the movie becomes too filled with all this outside interference when it could just be a simple...
That's basically what happened with Suicide Squad, isn't it?
Yeah, it could just be like a simple story that's good, it has good characters, has like a good like plot and everything, but they just keep on adding too much in.
The thing is, DC's proven that it can make a good film. Wonder Woman and The Suicide Squad were both good films. Mm-hmm. Even Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 4-hour cut, was like good.
Yeah.
For God's sake. I don't know what's wrong with this.
I think I did really like it. And it was way better than the original. I don't think it could have been any worse than the first one. The only little thing I had with that is I felt like we've talked about before, it was just too soon. It was too soon to have a Justice League movie, or in the sense that like...
Oh, you mean when it was... Right,
yeah.
Well, it was too soon to have a Batman vs Superman film.
I wanted to see more about those characters before you brought them together. Yep. That was my only... But that's just me, I think. It was still a good movie, and they still could have done other stuff around Zack Snyder's universe, but...
But the other thing as well is, it feels like Warner Brothers has fallen into the trap that so many production companies are now, where it's basically going, it has to be all women now. Women have got to be the main ones. So they're getting rid of Superman, who's arguably the most famous superhero that there is. They're getting rid of Batman, who's arguably the most famous superhero that there is. And going, right, okay, you don't like them, it's your fault, they have to be women. It's like, right, okay, so we'll keep Wonder Woman. We're not changing Wonder Woman. Because why would we change Wonder Woman? She's a woman. And we'll bring in Supergirl and Batgirl. It's like, because they're women and they're powerful and they're strong. It's like, well, Batwoman's already shown you, and unless it's written really well, people won't like it. Supergirl's shown you, unless it's written really well, people won't like it. And it's like, it's not because they're women. They've got to be good characters. Supergirl and Batgirl are barely even mid-tier characters.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman are like god-tier characters. Like, they make money.
Well, I mean, that's what I don't get. It's like, why would you get rid of two of your biggest money makers? From a company standpoint, you wouldn't do it, would you? It just doesn't make sense. I think pretty much, from what I've seen, a lot of the fans have just said, right, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm not going to bother watching it, or at least not in the cinema or any way that would make them money.
And they've got all this controversy with Amber Heard. It's like they're really
not
walking a fine line. Yeah. Whereas, and then you go to Marvel, and it's like, even just some of the rumours that we hear about things like Doctor Strange, and he's sitting there and you're going, I can't wait for this film. Okay, what have you done to me? I think this episode might just be called Sean Dies.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like whenever I hear about, a new Marvel series, what's the next Marvel series that's coming out?
Moon Knight?
Moon Knight. I'm more excited for Moon Knight than I even remotely am for Peacemaker. And it's because one of them's Marvel and one of them's DC. And again, we're probably going to upset loads of DC fanboys and fangirls with this, but that's the effect that Marvel and DC have had now.
I was planning on watching Peacemaker.
We'll watch.
The thing for me was I was kind of just like, I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Why they were making it. I mean, I get it. It's John Cena, and
you can't see him, and etc.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's just the experience we've had over the past few years with DC. But I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'll watch it, but like, is it gonna be? Am I gonna be let down massively? Been so many times we've been let down to a point I'm just like.
But things like fans of DC seem to be, they get so defensive of it, and it's weird. I'm not trying to insult the fans here but I'm
Yeah.
But they get so defensive, and I don't get how you can defend it.
I mean, you get fans like that with everything, don't you? Like, you get defensive fans and all sorts. But I think the thing I see now is a lot of the fans go, well, they have good, like, apparently, like, what is it, Titans or something? Is that a DC thing? What is it?
Yeah, it's Titans. Yeah.
That's a lot of people say that's supposed to be good. I haven't seen it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. And like the other series, like the Flash and the Arrow, is supposed to be.
Well, what I've seen
to be really good. And even Supergirl's not supposed. It's supposed to be good.
What I've seen about the Arrowverse is that it started off really well, and it's just fizzled out because the writing got poor.
Right.
Which again, it does happen. Like, you can't have a series that goes on for 10 series without it fizzling out. You look at more series that go past that sort of 10 mark, and most people will say that they've fizzled out along the way somewhere.
It's too long, isn't it? If it's the same story.
Yeah, you've got to have a natural progression of something that leads into something else, that leads into something else, that leads into something else, and then you've got to have the end game. Even things like what's a good example? Doctor Who is a prime example here in the UK. That's one that fizzled out. Supernatural, you could argue, sort of fizzled out. And I think that's why Marvel is clever, because it had its initial end game, literally, like it was all building up to end game.
Yeah.
But it had a plan for after that, so it wasn't just ending on end game. But now it's got like 4 or 5 potential end games that it can lead into now.
Yeah. But it's like they have the storylines, don't they? And for me, like, the whole storyline is just the whole, like, the Infinity Saga for me was one giant storyline, because all of them linked together.
It is, that's what I mean.
But then it's like, that's the thing though with DC, it's like, I don't know where those lines are. Yeah. Like, now I feel like, okay, so all these movies that we've got, if what's been said about the Flashpoint movie is true, which a lot of people seem to think it is, obviously this is going to be the end of all those movies. But then now I'm kind of like, well, is it going to be better now that they're rehashing it and they're starting over, and they're going to have all these new, hopefully, coherent movies, or is it? Are they still going to fall into the same mistakes that they've done before and not learn the lesson? Because if fair enough, everyone's mad about the recast and Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, getting rid of. But if they go forward and they actually bring out good movies with solid characters with a good story that leads somewhere, I wouldn't be mad. I would still kind of find it difficult to look past them getting rid of Cavill and Affleck, but I would at least start to be like, well, they've learnt the lesson and they're making good movies.
Again, the thing is though with Cavill and Affleck is that they're basically punishing them too and blaming the fans for it. That's what it feels like. It feels like they've gone, right, well, we tried Affleck, we tried Cavill, you didn't like it, it's your fault, we've got to change it. I know, you gave us versions of a character that we didn't like, give us what we want.
Yeah.
I want to go to a superhero movie and like that version of the character. I mean, I don't know if I blame Zack Snyder or if I blame Warner Brothers, but fundamentally, Batman does not kill people. And people are like, oh, well, he didn't really kill them, he just sent them to the hospital. No, he shot into the back of a car and blew it up with people inside it. Drove through it, blowing it up.
Yeah.
He blew up that guy that had the flamethrower. He's so blasé about killing people. And I get people's thing is, well, he's putting them in the hospital and they're going to have to pay multiple thousands of dollars worth of damage just to get themselves healed up. And all that stuff, but it's like, but he doesn't kill them.
Yeah.
He's financially crippling them and physically crippling them, but he's not killing them because that's just one step too far. But yeah, it feels like that's what it feels like DC's doing. It's basically going, you didn't like that, we gave you what you wanted, so now we've got to change it. It's like, well, no, you didn't give us a version of those characters that we liked.
Yeah. That's
what you need to do. If you want us to go and like it, then give us a version of those characters that we like.
It just, you know what it feels like? I don't know, like, it feels like they're not like, Warner Brothers aren't even like a fan of DC. In a way, like, I can't really explain it. It's like, because when the directors, when they talk about it, the directors that have experienced it, they've said, like, they seem to be genuine fans, and it's like really annoys them when they have this outside interference.
Yeah.
Because like they go into it knowing the story they want to tell, and they have to change it because the producers aren't happy with it. And it's like, well, surely if you're the producers, you would just go, you know what, let's just let them do the thing, see how it goes, and if it doesn't go well, then okay, maybe we'll have some input. But like the Suicide Squad was a perfect example. They said, you know what, James Gunn, just do whatever you want, and he made a really good movie, like really, really good. I don't at this point, surely they must know. I don't understand how they can't see it. Everyone tells them, every fan tells them what they're doing wrong, and they just either ignore it or they just can't see it.
That's exactly it, isn't it? It's that old cliche of a superhero movie should be made by a fan for a fan, because that's ultimately the fans are the ones that are going to go and see the film 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And that's where the majority of your profits are coming from. They're not coming from families. You know, you might get a family ticket which is 4 people, but surely you want the guy who's going to go and see it 4 times, and you want to address those people, because if you can get multiple versions of that, there's all the money. That's why Endgame made so much money. That's why Spider-Man's made so much money. It's like, you can't make a superhero movie and go, this is what's more important. Business comes first. We need to make as much money as we can, talk about the Joker, make clown references. There's got to be a lovey-dovey relationship between Harley Quinn and the Joker. There's got to be, it's just, if you're going to make a superhero movie, you have to trust the director that you're bringing in to make a good superhero movie.
Yeah. Otherwise, why bother bringing that director in?
Yeah. Like, if you're just going to put loads of input in, you might as well just direct the film yourself. And again, it's that classic thing. People who are calling for an Aya cut of the Suicide Squad, I don't want that.
But I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. It depends how much of that, because from what's been said is that it was supposed to be much darker.
Well, you can see where it was meant to be dark, but
at the same time, I'm like,
just let it die.
You don't know though, because you don't know how much of the actual story they impacted. That's the thing. Like a lot of people, I didn't even realize how different the Snyder Cut was from Joss Whedon's version until it was released. And I was like, this is a completely different movie.
That's the other thing with the Snyder Cut, though, that a lot of people use that as ammunition to basically go, well, we need all this now. But remember, the Snyder Cut had 2 or 3 years of, no, more than that, 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, 4 or 5 years of people telling Zack Snyder what they wanted, and him going, oh, I was going to do that, but I didn't get the chance because I was, this happened and I couldn't finish it. And it's like, well, you tell me what, I'll just write it all down and then I'll get my chance to do it and I'll put all that stuff in because it's what you all want. So if you think that 4-hour cut was originally his plan, like the whole thing was originally his plan, it wasn't. Absolutely not. There was things that absolutely would have been added in, because obviously he did do shoots and reshoots and stuff. There was loads of stuff that would have been added in. That entire 4 thing would not have been his full plan. I don't care what anyone says. So, and I knew originally that it was supposed to be Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2. I know he was supposed to have a 2-parter. But even that wouldn't have been the whole thing. The problem was, again, is that there was no planning. They basically went, Man of Steel, bring Batman in, have him fight Superman, and then we'll have a Justice League film, because that's what we need. We need money, is what we need. And, you're introducing the Flash, this version of the Flash that's different from the series. You're introducing Aquaman, who's different, because he's not blonde, he's Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And you're getting the Flash. Did Wonder Woman have a film? Oh yeah, she did, didn't she? She had a film before the Justice League, but not before Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, because she was introduced in Batman vs Superman, then she had a movie after.
Yep. And it's like, there's just no progression there. Like, you've got Superman, he's decided that he's going to be this beacon of hope for Earth. And you've got this murderous Batman, and they're going to fight for 5 minutes in a film called Batman vs Superman. They're going to fight for 5 minutes. And then they're going to be best friends. There's no progression. Where's the progression? You know what I mean? You can't have a 5-minute fight, have your stupid Martha Gate incident, and then be best friends.
Yeah, but it just isn't. It's a shame though, because like we watched Injustice, the animated movie, and I felt like that was really good. The whole like progression of the characters, like Superman going evil, Batman staying true to his like moral grounds. It just, one movie had so much impact.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like I say, I hope this new from the Flashpoint, I hope it's good. Because obviously, you don't trying to be hopeful, but
yeah, but they say it's hard to hope. But like, going back to that, what I was just saying there, I've just thought of something else. If you think of like, the Civil War in Marvel, because it is Marvel against DC. If you think of Civil War compared to Batman vs Superman was the second movie in. Civil War was what, 13? 12? Something like that?
13, was it?
Something like that. Well, might have been even more, might have been 16, 17.
That was made after the second Captain America movie, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, Civil War was the third Captain America.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to think how many movies.
But it goes Civil War, then it goes Black Panther. Then I think it was Infinity War.
Thor was in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. So it would have been even less. But basically, you had Civil War, which was hinted at in the first film, in the first Avengers film. It was hinted at in
conflict was there.
Yeah. The second Avengers film, it was hinted in that.
Even then, there were other movies in between there. So we had the Captain America movies, we had the Iron Man movies.
And you had all this progression. You learned what their morals were right the way up. Who they were as characters, who all these other characters were, and what all their morals were. So then when it got to Civil War, you understood the stakes, you understood what's built up to this point. And then after that, when Infinity War happened, you saw not only the entirety of Infinity War, and then even in Endgame as well, you saw that the fallout from that.
How much of an impact it had.
Yeah.
The fact that they lost because they went all together and stuff.
And with Batman vs Superman, there was none of that. It's like the only thing we know about this version of Batman is that he brands people. Superman goes from, he's just sitting there going, I grew up in Kansas, I'm going to help you guys, but it's got to be on my terms. And then he's depressed, and somehow every death on Earth is his fault. And it's like, where does this come from? It's like, now they're fighting, they don't even know why they're fighting each other. You know, God, here's Wonder Woman. It's like Wonder Woman's turning up, and Ben Affleck fancies her. And then, gosh, look, there's a file, and it's got bloody Cyborg and Aquaman and Flash. And it's like, okay. It's like they're fighting each other. Martha, and you're like, oh, what? And then bloody Doomsday turns up. You're like, it's too much for the second film in. It's like, we don't know anything about these characters, and I'm supposed to care when one of them dies just because he's got an S on his chest. No, you need that emotional bonding. Even if the Batman vs Superman film's like 3 hours long, you still don't get it.
Well, they didn't really interact with each other much, did they? Except right up until the end.
Well, they interacted, I think, maybe twice. There was a bit where they meet at a party, and there's that gratuitous sort of, we in Gotham have a history of freaks dressed like clowns. You're like, it's the Joker. You get it? He's talking about the Joker. And Superman had that one where Batman was driving after he'd just killed those people, and he drove around and he stood, and the Batmobile crashed into him. And Superman goes, the next time they put your signal in the sky, don't answer it. And then that's when he goes, do you bleed? You will. And I thought, who cares about what's going on here? I don't care. Oh, I didn't even mention Lex Luthor. Did you forget that Lex Luthor was in it? I did. It's just like, but then DC, and then again, that's part of that issue that DC has, that when it goes, well, why don't, Sean, you don't like all that stuff, I'm going to change all of it. It's like, well, no, my issue isn't with the actors trying to do their job. It's the job that they're trying the hardest to make good. It's not Ben Affleck's fault that the writing in the film's crap. Zack Snyder's writing, by the way.
Well, there was a lot of producer input as well.
There was producer input, but Zack Snyder said that Batman kills people, get over it. I'll never forgive him for that.
Thing is, though, I wouldn't have been so upset with that had there been explanation as to why. You know, like, we've never seen that version of Batman before, at least.
Well, we have, but it was animated.
Yeah, well, yeah, in live action.
Yeah.
At least let us understand why he's got to this point, what his motivations are, what he's been through.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, okay, so every other live action version of Batman, this one's completely different, just accept it. We're like, oh jeez, like, why?
Well, the thing is, I mean, people might not remember it, but Michael Keaton killed people as well. Michael Keaton's Batman killed people. I didn't like that Michael Keaton killed them. Val Kilmer killed them. I'm pretty sure George Clooney killed them as well. But then when you actually learn to like Batman, you get Christian Bale's Batman, where that shows you why he would have these kinds of morals. Because, you know, it would be easy for him to kill people, but he's better than the people that he's fighting. Because yes, he's a criminal and he's breaking the law essentially, but he's doing it to help, so that the people. I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah. That was like a whole speech
Yeah.
that you've just forgotten.
But yeah, but you understand what I mean, is that he's better than the criminals he's fighting, because he's not going to resort to killing people.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, like, I don't blame Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck for those films being poor. Ben Affleck, I think, would be a great Batman. I'm pretty sure he would make a good Batman film if he was given the chance. I mean, let's face it, we're not going to find a human being on this planet that's more like Superman than Henry Cavill, are we?
I'd be very surprised.
Unless he was like literally made out of metal and painted, then. But it's like,
unless he could actually fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah, but it's that thing where, again, that's the only way I can describe it, is that DC blames its fans for its own problems, where Marvel goes, okay, we have an issue, what would you like? The fans go, we desperately want this, and Marvel goes, okay, we'll give you it. Well, we'll do our best to give you it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not saying Marvel's perfect though.
It's all no, Marvel's not perfect, absolutely not. Like,
I feel like everyone's gonna be like, oh, million is like Marvel, but.
Yeah, Marvel's by no means perfect. It definitely does, like Eternals. We should probably talk about Eternals.
Yeah.
They definitely dropped the ball with Eternals, because that should absolutely have been a series. It should not have been a film. There's too many like, that's basically Batman vs Superman as well. There's too many characters, and we don't care about any of them. You don't care about any of them. I'm sorry, Salma Hayek, but I did not care when Ajax died. Spoiler alert. Didn't care when Icarus died. I guessed that Icarus was going to die.
Not in that way, but you still assumed he was going to die.
I didn't guess he would. Yeah, I didn't guess he would fly into a sun. But I did guess that he would turn bad, because I guessed that one of them was going to turn bad. But I thought it would be Druig. I didn't think that Druig would be my favourite character. And Makari.
Druig and Makari, yeah. And Thena. Druig, Makari and Thena.
Yeah. But it's... Actually, my favourite character is probably Dane Whitman, who was barely in it.
Dane Whitman, yeah. That's the thing, that they had good characters. I don't really know what it was about that movie. It was still a good movie. I still really liked it, but there was something about it that I was kind of just like...
Yeah. It should have been 12 episodes, an episode for each of the characters, an episode for the Deviants, and then, say, the final 3 episodes, like, the sort of the conflicts.
Yeah.
Because, again, it was just sort of like, a lot like Batman vs Superman. It was like, oh no, Icarus has turned bad. Do I care? Not really. I was sad when, what was his name, died? Gilgamesh.
Yeah, again, though, that was because we had seen
his relationship with Thena.
Yeah, like the way he just kind of devoted his whole life to watching over and protecting. Like, it was really sweet, and we're kind of like, yeah. Whereas Ajax, I felt like up to that point, the thing with Ajax that I felt like was different was, up until that point, we'd only ever... It made it seem as if she was the bad guy, because she was working with, what was his name? Arisham. And she knew about the plan, so we're kind of like, when she died, we were kind of like, yeah, but wasn't she the bad guy? Why should we be upset with that? But then afterwards, we learned from Icarus that actually she had changed her mind. And I felt like that we should have seen that before she died, maybe. Yeah. As a way to kind of make us go, oh, well, she...
I felt with the Eternals that it almost didn't really know what it wanted to be, though. Like, it didn't know if it wanted to be a whodunit or a mystery or something like that, because they find Ajax's body, then you just find out that she's dead. You're supposed to assume that the Deviants killed her. But then actually, Icarus is the one that killed her, and that's meant to be like a big, ooh, no, Icarus is actually the bad guy, and it's sort of like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like...
But I didn't make sense for me. I understand why he made the Deviants kill her, because it was like he didn't want to be caught for her death. But they also took her power, and then he had to fight the Deviants because he was intent on... Because that was his purpose, was to kill the Deviants. But then they had her powers, so it was like, well, why... You're just making it harder for yourself. Why would you do that? Yeah.
But then it also had that bit at the end where it was like... So this is the Deviants' motivations. We'll just sneak that in there, and then that's it. And then he just died, and then it was like, well, why am I supposed to care? Why do I care? It's like, you can give me an alien's motivation, then don't just kill him straight away.
Yeah. I still liked it. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
No. It's not even the worst Marvel movie ever made. But it's... Yeah. It would have definitely suited itself better to being a series. But I wonder if it was like a pay thing, Like, they probably didn't want to bank on a series of viewing figures rather than a film with viewing figures.
You have Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden and Kit Harington all in the same movie.
Quite a lot of famous actors in it.
Yeah.
Selma Hayek's probably worth a Kenny bit as well. But what I will say about that is, though, it's got probably the scariest shot I've ever seen in a Marvel film. That bit where Arishem just appears in the sky and all the clouds sort of
part.
And it's sort of like, okay, this is a bit, you know, you've got the likes of Falcon and Bucky and that must have seen that and gone, that's a bit above our pay grade.
I know, I love how, like, the memes, like, everyone's making memes about, like, it was apparently supposed to take place, like, around a similar time or something. And everyone was like, oh, did they not even, like, think to help? And it's like...
What are they going to do against that?
Like, I think that's a little out of their pay grade, but...
You know, struggling to fight a teenager. Big whatever it is in the
big
sky.
Big celestial with a bunch of eyes in the sky appears.
Oh yeah, I'll just throw my shield at him.
But do you know what? Again, though, it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't the best movie they've done. But I could still watch it. I could watch it again.
Oh yeah. I've watched it twice since it went on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
I always watch Marvel like superhero movies 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, you have
to try and
don't
soak
you?
everything in. But it's like
that's the thing that I felt like that was with DC. Like Man of Steel wasn't a bad movie, even though for whatever reason some people are kind of like torn on it.
Yeah, it was divisive, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't bad. I've watched it a few times.
Yeah.
Could have yeah, fair enough. It could have been better, but compared to some of the other movies they've released afterwards, it definitely was not bad.
Well, it's definitely better than Suicide Squad. Definitely better than
Joss Whedon's Justice
League.
Way better.
Do
you know what? Do you know what I'm hoping that comes with Marvel? And this is something I'm kind of the Disney format that's ingrained in Marvel.
Yeah.
So obviously it's owned by Disney, so it's very like
family oriented.
Yeah, and that's like I feel like that's the main argument people have with Marvel is it's just like considering like the scale that the movies have gone to, like aliens and all like explosions. There's no like, it's not really realistic.
Yeah. Well, that's
like in terms of like deaths and like injuries and stuff. You know what I mean? But like I feel like with the introduction of Deadpool, that might change that.
And the X-Men.
Hopefully that's R-rated.
Just the X-Men in general. Because if Wolverine comes into it, then trying to make Wolverine, you know, PG is not going to work.
So I'm hoping Disney gives Marvel a bit more free rein, and hopefully they change it up a bit.
And even Daredevil. Daredevil comes in it, he can't be PG. You can't make Daredevil PG.
Yeah.
He's got to be beating the absolute tar out of people.
That's the thing that I want to see a little more like a bit more shift in Marvel.
Well, that's yeah. Obviously, with Deadpool coming in, they've said that's definitely going to be R-rated. It's got to be Deadpool's got to be R-rated.
They couldn't have those two, the first two Daredevil movies.
Deadpool
movies, and then from coming to the MCU finally and change the way they did it.
Yeah.
People wouldn't like it.
Swear words. Swear words wouldn't work.
It'd be a funny gag if they started off doing that.
Well,
do you know what I mean? And then he does that typical like thing.
I imagine there'll probably be some mention of it in the third film. But that was always what I thought DC dropped the ball on. It's like, you would think some exec would walk in and go, right, we need to make ourselves different to Marvel, but still have a sort of similar format in that we have these origin movies, and then we have the team up movie that's like the big money makers, essentially the team up movie, isn't it? So what can we make that's different? Right, let's make it R-rated, let's make it violent and bloody.
Yeah.
Right. We might not attract as many families, but we will get more fans. Something that I was so sure they were going to do. It's like, let's make it, instead of making it all about the heroes, let's make it more about the villains. It's like, because...
Well, Suicide Squad? The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that definitely not I as Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
James Gunn's Suicide Squad. It's like, you look at it, how successful was Joker? It was a big deal. I know that's not connected to anything in DC, but it is a DC film.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad's great. Aren't they on about doing... what is it doing it? The villain one, I'm forgetting what it is. They're on about making a Joker too. It's like, right, okay, so tell it from the villain's point of view then, because it works. Obviously, it works. You know, Infinity War was from the villain's point of view, and that worked. It's like, make yourself different, make yourself PG, do it differently to Marvel. But no, as soon as Zack Snyder's, had to leave Justice League, Joss Whedon came in, stamped on some Disney style gags, and that was it.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. But again though, I feel like for me that's the only issues I have with Marvel though.
It dances around deaths.
It's just not that I want to see like blood and gore. You don't need it, but there are times when I'm like, well, how would they?
Yeah.
Like.
You've got to be a bit more pragmatic with deaths.
I feel like it's already like this crazy universe with like heroes and aliens and all this stuff. You have to ground it in somewhere.
Yeah.
Like there has to be some kind of realism to it in order for you to relate. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm yeah, but hopefully they change that with the introduction of like Deadpool and stuff.
Daredevil. But let's at least talk for the next 10 minutes about what's good about both. Let's not whinge. Not just about DC, about both.
We should talk about the Batman.
Yeah,
even though it's not even out yet.
Well, that's supposedly the reasoning behind getting rid of Ben Affleck, isn't it? They don't want two Batmen. Yeah. So they're basically going, well, if Robert Pattinson doesn't work, then we're knackered, because we've got no other Batman. We need Robert Pattinson to work. And basically the internet's excited for the Batman, so the bank and all of that on that. If that film was a flop, then they're knackered. It's not going to be a flop. It's going to make a lot of money, but if
it's not as good as everyone hopes it, or everyone thinks it's going to be.
Then it's going to.
Because from the trailers, it looks like it's going to be incredible. I'm really excited for it. But it's just fingers crossed. It's as good as we all hope.
I don't want people to think that I'm against. From what I said earlier on in this video, I hope people don't think that I'm against female superheroes, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people who goes, the world isn't ready for female superheroes and all that, because it is. Wonder Woman was great, Captain Marvel, One Division was great. What other female superhero films has there been? Black Widow was great. I'm pretty sure I'm in love with Kate Bishop. It's like, there's plenty of space for good female characters, but they have to be that. They have to be good female characters. They can't.
I understand, yeah, and you don't need to get rid of all of the significant male characters in order for those female characters to be good. Yeah,
which is what a lot of things have been doing recently. Batwoman the series is the prime example. I mean, the whole reason I didn't watch that was because of the trailer. That one line where she says it will be when it fits a woman. Shut up.
Yeah.
And it's, I'd like to think that they've got the sense at least to go, okay, here's our big three. Main one is Wonder Woman. I'd like to think they've got some sense and that they'll do that.
Yeah. Again, if that's true, I'm taking it with a grain of salt, because some leaks that come out end up just being utter crap. Maybe it's one of those leaks where they leaked it deliberately to see how fans react to it.
As far as I've seen, it is. Pretty sure that's the end of Henry Cavill anyway. Ben Affleck's going to be in the Flashpoint, but it's going to be writing him out of it.
Yeah.
Which again, it's like, it's a shit. I'm happy for him because he hasn't enjoyed making it, but
yeah, it's a shame that he didn't enjoy making it, because it's a dream role, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Saying you're playing Batman is like a big deal. It's like it's like every comic book fan's dream.
Yeah. And
it got ruined for him, so it is sad.
But I'm again talking good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Batman. I think the Batman's going to be great. Matt Reeves is a great director. Doesn't get enough credit. It's
going to be a trilogy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They're on about making a second Joker film. Todd Phillips coming back to do that. Joaquin Phoenix. Which will be interesting, given how ambiguous the ending of the first one was.
Well, which bit when he was in Arkham?
All of it, yeah. When he was in Arkham.
Well, you saw his Bruce Wayne's parents get killed.
Yeah. And then
he ended up in Arkham.
Yeah, but the whole point of that was he in Arkham the whole time? Or was that after?
No. I mean, I assume that happened.
Well, the ending's meant to be ambiguous,
Yeah.
and then it's meant to make you go. That's what the point of that ending was the whole thing real, or was the whole thing fake? Is he actually the son of Thomas Wayne, or isn't he? You know, there's a lot of ambiguity about that film it's meant to be there. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn has said that he's not done with DC yet, which is good because he needs to sort of stamp his mark on that universe.
Just, you know what? Just let them do their own universes. Matt Reeves, just let him have his own universe. James Gunn, let him do his own thing. The director for Joker, I don't know his name.
Todd Phillips.
Let him do his own thing. Just, they've proven they could. Well, two of them have proven they can make good movies. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we haven't seen the Batman yet, so we don't know. But let's assume it's as good as we all hope it to be.
Yep.
Just let them do their own thing. Don't try and ruin it with interference.
Yep.
Let it be good.
Yep. And let's talk about Marvel. Have you seen the supposed cast list for Doctor Strange? Have you heard some of the news stories coming out about it? It's absolutely ridiculous.
I feel like the same thing's happening with that what happened with
Spider-Man. I know.
They're just going, okay, everyone's in it.
But everything that I was hearing about it ended up being true.
Wow.
Like
I've seen that thing that apparently, because there was a leak. I think I've mentioned this to you. There was a leak ages ago of Wanda fighting Magneto, not Magneto,
yeah.
Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
And then the teaser came out, and there was a shot of Wanda wearing the same outfit that was in that leak, and so everyone was going, "Oh my god, it's real! It's happening."
So I saw a thing that was supposedly a credits shot of some of the people that are in it.
Of the actual cast list.
Yeah.
Right.
Which wasn't real, because it had Ben Stiller as his character from Night at the Museum, so that definitely wasn't real.
Yeah.
But the things I've heard is that we're getting the Illuminati, as in Doctor Strange, Xavier, Doctor Doom, Namor, Black Panther and all that stuff, all those lot, which I don't know how true that is, but I've seen that Tom Cruise might be in it as the most powerful version of Iron Man that we've ever seen, where he's wielding 3 of the Infinity Stones. He's got Thanos' head in a jar. I've heard that Owen Grufford is coming back as Mr. Fantastic. Chris Evans is coming back as the Human Torch. Jessica Alba is coming back as the Invisible Woman. There's going to be 4 different versions of Doctor Strange. Wanda is the main bad guy, which I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
What else have I heard? Most of the X-Men are in it. It's like, oh my god, what are they doing?
I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, I just don't want to get my hopes up. I know I said the same thing with Spider-Man and it ended up happening, but I deliberately tried to keep myself from getting my hopes up, because had I sat down and it not happened, I'd have been devastated.
I know.
It was the same with Doctor Strange. It's like, yes, it would be amazing if all these characters are in it, but I don't know. I'm not sure how it would happen.
I'm trying to see if I can find that picture, because it has got...
I think I might have seen it.
It's like it's got some of them that I've heard on, but then when it had the Night at the Museum guy on it, I was like, well, that's obviously not real. But yeah, it's like, God, I can't... But then I've also heard that supposedly John Krasinski's going to be in it as Mr. Fantastic as well. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back into it. Tom Holland coming back into it.
I've seen that, and I feel like that's more realistic.
Yeah.
I feel like a little more realistic now that Spider-Man's out, but at the same time, is that just because Spider-Man came out?
Maybe.
Everyone's going, oh, well, you know, it's multiverse. We've already had Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Let's just say they're going to be in this. Let's hope they're going to be in this again.
Yeah. What's his name? The 2 different versions of Quicksilver being in it. I've seen that as well.
Yeah. I've heard that,
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
One thing I want from this, I want this to be how they bring mutants into it and the Fantastic Four. It's got to be through Wanda it happens.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of want them to have a new X-Men.
Yeah.
I know it's a debate. Everyone's like, well, there are some characters that we want to keep, there are some not. Hugh Jackman being the main one, everyone's like afraid of a new Wolverine.
Well, I saw a thing. Someone made a fan picture of Henry Cavill as Wolverine, and then most of the comments were, "He's too tall." If there's one thing that the MCU needs to change, if they're going to get a different Wolverine in, go back to comic Wolverine. He doesn't have to look like Hugh Jackman. He doesn't have to be ridiculously ripped and tall and sort of handsome. He has to be this sort of small, hunched over little animal that he is, which is what Wolverine is. You know, let Cyclops be the tall, sort of muscular,
leader.
Yeah, and let Wolverine be the little animalistic rogue that he is. And let Rogue be another rogue. Yeah. But a good rogue. Sorry, Anna Paquin, you were crap.
Yeah, I can't. It's weird though, but also like at the same time they're bringing Ryan Reynolds in as Deadpool, and I'm curious what they're going to do with that. But I do want them to just have a whole new X-Men, mainly because I want it to be set in the same time. Because it would be too much for them to go, oh yeah, and by the way, that these mutants have been around the entire time and just didn't bother helping. It was hard enough with Eternals. Everyone was kind of like, well, how can you explain they've been on Earth the entire time and them not getting involved in anything?
Yeah.
It'd be even worse with mutants. People wouldn't accept it.
Yeah. I thought I was going to say as well. Yeah. A lot of people have said 4 different versions of Doctor Strange, which does sound, realistic.
I mean, we already know there's going to be 2 versions at least.
Yeah. But if people think that one is Supreme Strange, it isn't. That one is not Supreme Strange.
I know.
Because what people have told me is that there's going to be Doctor Strange, who's the main one, Defender Strange, who's the sort of...
the one from the What If. At the end. From the What If series. Defender.
No, that's Supreme Strange. Supreme Strange is the one with the pointed thing and the queer cheekbones. That's Supreme Strange. Defender Strange is like the pure good. Didn't need a reason to go and learn.
Oh.
He's just pure. That was his only thing, was that he only ever wanted to be a mage. Changed his whole life. Trained his whole life to be a mage. It became it basically did what Wong did. Spent his whole life as a mage. And then you've got Evil Strange, which is the one that you see, or Dark Strange. Because in a way, Supreme Strange isn't all that evil. Yes, what he does is deplorable, and he basically ends the universe because he loves someone. Yeah. It's really selfish, but it's not inherently evil, because he
didn't do it with bad intentions.
Yeah, he still goes out of his way to help at the end when he needs to fight Ultron.
Mm-hmm. It basically saves all universes.
Yeah, so he's not completely evil, but I think they're trying to avoid him for now because there's not many characters who can stand against him.
He's
a different breed
but
of powerful.
He wouldn't have to be in it for long. He wouldn't even have to do anything. He could just be there and I'd be like, thank you, Marvel.
Well, it would be cool if say regular Doctor Strange came to him and said, I desperately need your help.
And he said, no, I can't.
And he went, I can't, my job's to defend this.
Mm-hmm.
It's trust me, the last thing you want is to get out. He says, I can't risk it. And I already learned once about risks and following rules and whatnot. So yeah, for people who think that shot where he went, things just got out of hand, that guy, that is not Supreme Strange. Or if it is, I'll be disappointed. Because he doesn't look like Supreme Strange. But yeah, by all accounts, Wanda is the main bad guy.
Fair enough. I mean, she was raiding the Darkhold at the end of WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense she would go a little bit psycho.
Crazy. I think it's funny as well that they basically go, right, okay, Loki, we need a new variant for you. We'll get Sylvie, we get this other person to play it. Doctor Strange is like, nah, we're not getting another actor. He can play all.
You have Benedict Cumberbatch.
He can play all versions of himself. Because he's English.
Though, with that, yeah. Well, so is Tom Hiddleston.
I know.
Thing is,
just not as English. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what that meant.
I don't know. I feel like that's my next thing. That's the next thing I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
I'm excited for like a bunch of stuff, but that's like the one I feel like everyone's holding in on.
The Batman and Doctor Strange.
I mean, if they're both as good as everyone hopes they'll be,
yeah,
I'll be happy. I'll be able to die happy.
Yeah.
Knowing that I lived to see those two movies.
I know. If everything that happens if all this that's been leaked, if half of it happens, then it'll be a really big film.
Well, apparently the runtime is like almost 3 hours or something, isn't it?
Mm.
Don't even cut it. Just have everything in. You don't need to cut anything.
Yeah. Real people will sit through the entire thing.
We sat through Endgame.
And No Way Home.
I didn't even have a drink or anything. I went in, sat down, focused. Didn't have food, no drinks. Didn't want to risk me in the toilet.
I went and saw it 3 times. Same day. So I spent 9 hours of one day watching the same film. True fan. Yeah, so that was us talking about who was better, Marvel or DC. We didn't come to it. Let's just say one is better than the one is better than the other, but we will not tell you which one it is.
I feel like everyone's going to do the typical thing where it's like, oh, you clearly are Marvel fans. Everyone's already said that to us before.
There's 20 something Marvel films and there's 4 DC ones.
I just hope from Flashpoint they learn from the lesson.
Probably not.
I'd be able to forgive them.
Warner Brothers rarely ever learns from their mistakes. So let us know down in the comments what you think. What are you most excited for, the Batman or Doctor Strange? Which one do you think is better, DC or Marvel? Let us know down in the comments why. And what do you think are the biggest problems with both of these? And remember to go and join us on Patreon. Description, you can see it in there. It's basically patreon.com/weatherproductions. And you get this video 3 days early. And, you get our stream today, Sunday. Did I say like the video? Like the video, subscribe, ding the bell to be notified when we upload. We upload every day. Anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I hope. Do you think when Batman comes out, do you think it'll go up for Oscars and stuff? Because Joker went up.
Probably not.
Up. I mean, he went up for a Golden Globes, and Joker. He won a Golden Globe.
He won an Oscar?
Did he win an Oscar? Did he? Oh.
The reason that did is because it was Joaquin Phoenix. And there was no superhero in it.
Yeah.
For some reason, superhero movies aren't allowed to win anything because they're not woke culture crap.
Wow.
Come at me.
I would like if it just seems. I don't know. I was just thinking about it because I know Spider-Man. They're trying to rally for a Spider-Man going for the Oscars. I don't know if it will though because it's very
superhero movie.
I mean, Endgame didn't get anything, did it? So I doubt it would. Maybe for its visual effects or something, costumes, but not for any of the major categories.
One of those things. But the Joker, fun fact for you all, the Joker was one of only 2 characters. Just racking my brain. One of only 2 characters that have won an Oscar twice.
Oh yeah, because the Heath Ledger won one
Won a posthumous one after he died.
Oh.
I bet you can't tell me what the other character is.
It's won one twice.
A character, not an actor.
A character. It's won one twice.
So I would say, tell me down in the comments, see if you can tell me in the comments, but you'd have to do it without Googling.
I don't even know. I don't really watch the Oscars.
You wouldn't know because I don't think you've seen either of the films.
Oh. I don't know then.
Tell me down in the comments. Here's your 5-second.
I mean, they could just Google it. I would Google
Not in
it.
5 seconds. Vito Corleone. Marlon Brando 1-1 and Robert De Niro 1-1. From The Godfather. Thank you for watching that you haven't seen.
I need to know.